Namaskaram everyone. I hope you had a wonderful start into the new year, and I hope this is going to be a wonderful year for you. Some um, yoga participant, yoga practitioner has asked me, Lambi, he had asked me, send me a question regarding holding namaskar and how you deal with friends, family, work colleagues if they want to shake your hands, especially on these kind of occasions like, you know, New Year, Christmas, or other holidays where people always want to shake your hand. And when you become more aware and you want to be more, spiritually focused, then you might want to do this instead. It has a very powerful impact if we hold namaskar. If you become more aware, you will actually feel that it has an impact on you. And bowing down to something else, whether it's nature or a person, is a very powerful process. I might talk about in a different video about this, but for those of you who are already aware of it and who might be wondering how you can, implement it in your day-to-day life, how you find the balance between like people who don't know what you're doing and you going your path, how can you make the balance? I personally don't think there's like a one rule which works for this, where you can just say I just always do this or I just never do this, because people will freak out. I think it has to be some kind of you have to gauge the situation, because in the past I sometimes was a little bit more I had times where I was a little bit more, let's say, I was just doing my thing and I didn't care what others would think. I would just dress my way, and then because now I'm spiritual, so what the hell, what others think and so forth. But the truth is, depending on what kind of situation we are in life, now I'm a yoga teacher, so now I need to also pay some attention on, what I wear, how I behave, because people will look at it and then not only will, whether they judge me or not is completely different. That's not the point. But they will maybe look at me and then they think, okay, if he does that, it's okay, then I do that as well, or that has some other, also when you, for example, this is very specific when you are around small children, they look at you and then small children, they imitate us and they learn by looking at adults. So that way we have a lot of impact on others, whether we might be aware of it or not. So we should be conscious about how we behave in certain situations and depending on the people who are around us. For me personally, I think the best way to go about this is if I, also try to think about what is the best for the situation. Like what's if, let's say I'm going to a business meeting, I'm suddenly gonna greet everyone with namaskar. What's gonna be the impact of that, If people don't understand, then they will be put off by it. And if I put them off, maybe they will never ever come to me to learn yoga, because they just, are so close now. So I gave away that chance. But maybe if I behave completely normal around them, no problem, shaking hands, giving high fives and so forth, and I'm just giving my best in a way that they can relate to, then maybe later I can pull them into a yoga class, and then I can actually teach them the impact of that, and then maybe I can have a positive impact. So there's many factors involved, and the same way when you go with your family, these days I personally, I don't insist on doing this. I barely do this other than if I'm in a yoga session or when I speak to other people who I know are familiar with it. Or if I'm by myself, if I go to nature, I often do this. Even if there are people around me, then I don't care. If I want to bow down to a tree, or if I want to bow down to the sky, to the moon, to the stars, whatever, I don't care. Then I just do it. Sometimes I see there a small duck walking by and I bow down to it, because I just feel so amazing, because it's just wonderful if you're aware of all this nature and the energy that surrounds you. So I would not go about it in a harsh way, that you put up your rule and you say, I'm gonna do this and this and this. I think it's good to be aware of how are we gonna be impacting our environment. When we are by ourselves, you can always do this. And you can even do this internally, Maybe make this an exercise, When you have to when you have to shake somebody the hands because the social requirements are like that. Then just do it, but within you can still bow down to that person. Maybe you will even make a little bit movement, but you just don't do it formally like that. There's people who do it like that, but they do it just like a robot and it has no impact. Then there are people, see, even Sadhguru, you see him in a business context, in conferences, he will shake hands, even though it's not like what he would do, but he knows the situation requires it. But within him, you can be sure he's completely like that. So, yeah, there's no like one hard answer for this. I would say just try to be more aware. What are the situations, and also try to have that ability, that level of consciousness that within you always bow down like this, and you always try to see the highest in the other person or whatever is in front of you. You can do that internally, and externally maybe you treat him like the way he is used to, because maybe you can always go a small step, When people are not familiar with something, if you take too much of a step, you'll put them off, and then you will maybe lose the chance to have an impact later on them. So you can go small steps, but for many people this will be too much of a step. So you shake their hands, you give them high fives, If you show that you have a positive energy, then it doesn't matter whether you do this or this. It'll be like people will see that there's something more about it. At the same time, for you personally, if you're more concerned about your growth, you can also do it internally. So don't worry about having to do it externally, See, the thing is, Sadhguru also says that, we need to make sure that people don't have like these bad ideas about people who are walking the spiritual path, because it is creating a damage in the world. If people think all people who are like walking the spiritual path, they are just freaks and they don't understand what they're doing, then we will put them off. But if they see, hey, they can be just like me, they're just normal people, but hey, he's really like, has high energy, he's joyful and so forth, I want to be a little bit more like him, then they will start inquire anyway. So yeah, that's basically it. I would say do this internally, and the other thing, do whatever the situation is, what's appropriate. Also, like, dress the way it's appropriate. Don't just dress like you would, I used to wear like these wool big jacket, and just because I felt it's comfortable, so I would just wear that, and then I have these long hairs, and it's like it's not suitable in certain situations. So I think it's better to be aware of this. Well, anyway, Lambi and whoever else is watching, I hope this is helpful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you give me a comment if you have any other questions you would like me to talk about. And subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's wonderful. I try to publish new videos every week. I'm very, very grateful to all of you who are watching this, and I wish you again a wonderful year ahead. Bye.